Hello friends, welcome to the new episode of The Root Cause. In this episode, we are going to dwell a little more about bitter taste because bitter is the most complex of all the tastes. While I've explained the basic working of the vasodilation principle of bitter, but in this we'll talk in further detail. In this episode, we'll also talk a little about the principle of opposites and some other basic principle. Let's begin with them only and then we'll come to the bitter taste. We briefly discussed that astringent constricts and sourness expands. So this is the principle of opposites. Let's suppose you are having sour foods, then if you want to balance it, you must be having astringent foods also, so that excess of sourness does not create health issues in you. Okay, excess of anything is bad. Excess of sourness, what it will do? It will swell your cells, and then they will create LDL, low density lipids, because they are swollen. That is why they are low density lipids. That is why when somebody has got too much of LDL, then they can have astringent things like turmeric, okay, anar, pomegranate. I'm just giving you an example. Okay, now let's talk about another principle, which is one's nectar can be another's poison. It's very important that we must understand this. One's nectar can be another's poison, one's poison can be another nectar, and one's nectar can be the poison for the same person in a different set of conditions also. Those set of conditions could be age, those set of conditions could be different weather conditions also. Those set of conditions could also be different locations. You are sitting in India, tea, coffee is not a good thing because it's a hot country. But if you are going in a very cold country, then you can have a bit of tea, coffee because it will work as a nectar over there. Okay, so let's come to the bitter taste now. We discussed that bitter dilates. You know, some people were writing to me that bitter constricts. Why are you saying it dilates? This is because anything which will dilate at one point of place in our body will have a constriction effect in some other place. We've got limited amount of blood in the body at any particular time. So either if a thing is constricting in nature, it is going to dilate somewhere else, and vice versa. Now let's take example of onion. Onion is a very important part of our diet all across the world, not just India. Onion is vasodilating in nature. Onion is bitter in taste, and it is because of its bitterness that it dilates our blood vessels. It basically works on our kidneys. It's called as angiotensin receptor blockers. For example, in allopathy, there is a group of medicines which is used for controlling blood pressure. It's called as Sartan group. It works primarily on our kidneys. It dilates. So the moment there is dilation happening, the blood drops because then you are giving more space to the lower body. So it's fine. And that is the reason that onion is very good when during summers our rasa is boiling and it has gone up. So that is the time when you should be having onion, so that the rasa can go, because of the dilation, can go down and it can go towards the core of the body also. That is why in very hot countries, onion is a nectar, but primarily during hot weather conditions. Now let's talk about India. When the temperature suddenly drops from 45 degrees to 22 degrees, 23 degrees also at times during rains, then what happens? The rasa is suddenly supposed to cool down and it goes towards the lower body. There is a mythological story also attached to it, which says that Lord Vishnu goes to Patal Loka with the King Bali during 4 months, starting from rains. It's called as Chaturman. Chatur means 4. Why it happens? Because Lord Vishnu in our body represents rasa. Lord Vishnu is called as the administrator. So Lord Vishnu represents rasa. Okay, so when suddenly the temperature drops, the rasa also cools down. It goes towards the lower part of the body. If you are having onion at this time, what will happen? Your conscience will get stuck in the lower body only. and it'll start thinking about the lower chakras only, which is food, sex, and grabbing the lands and all that. That is the reason that onion should be over. Onion is tamasic in nature. Tamasic means that which takes us inward. So when the weather is rajasic, stimulating, that is hot weather, that is the time tamasic food should be taken, and vice versa. When the weather becomes very, very cold, then rajasic food should be taken. Rajasic means those that stimulate. So during cold weather, the weather becomes tamasic in nature. It takes us to inside. That is the time you can have rajasic foods, which are stimulating in nature, like spices, a bit of tea and coffee. So they are okay during winters, very, very cold, when the weather is very cold. So that also means that there is no specific definition of rajas and tamas. Okay. So one very important thing, onion is not just bitter in taste. I told in the previous episodes also that one food will have several tastes. Okay. So onion has got bitterness, it has got astringency, it has got pungency, it has got warmth also. That is why onion, what it does, so in case somebody has got expanded rasa, then I explained in the previous episodes that that person will have comfort foods to fill up this extra space which has been created because of expanded rasa. As a result, the communication will start breaking. So onion, because of its bitterness, will not only take the reduce the pitta. Pitta means the pungency, the voltage. It will also remove the excess kapha which has got stored, because that kapha is swollen also because of acidity. Acidity swells, it creates sourness. So because onion has got astringency, it constricts. It is the opposite of sourness, I told you. Whereas the angiotensin receptor blockers, the certain group of medicines which is used in allopathy, has got only bitterness. So it will not be able to reduce your kapha. As a result, what will happen? Your pitta will go down, your nervous system will become suddenly less low on stimulation. However, the kapha will stay. As a result, what will happen? Your body will stay like this only. And then the communication will start breaking. So that's the role of, onion. There are many medicines in Ayurveda. For example, bala, which is called as cedar cordifolia in botany, is having a similar working as onion. However, onion is warm and pungent. Bala is primarily bitter and astringent only. But they have a similar working. Next is coriander. You talk about coriander leaves. Coriander is bitter in taste, but it's very cold in nature. So let's suppose you go out in very hot weather conditions. If you have taken onion, and if you have taken onion along with cold things, for example, with buttermilk, then onion's mild pungency and the heat will get balanced by the buttermilk. But in case you have taken some warm foods, then onion may not be the right option during the summers. Then the right option will be to have coriander leaves. Coriander leaves are cold, bitter, and mildly astringent also in nature. Whereas coriander seeds are also bitter, but they are slightly sour also in nature. So I would suggest all those people who are Ayurveda enthusiasts must start understanding the tastes. Instead of taking all the things together, they should taste it and feel, okay, what is it? It will come with practice, but start doing that. And let me tell you, very important thing, Ayurveda, without understanding Ayurveda, we can't become spiritual beings. The reason is that Ayurveda is the user manual of our body. In case we start having breaks in our communications and the rasa goes too up and it is very less in our lower body, what will happen? Sooner or later, it will affect our behavior also. And then it will have a cascading effect. So the behavior has got a very, very clear your behavior is directly associated with what you eat. You become what you eat. So that much only about onion. Garlic is hot also, along with other qualities of onion. Caffeine is stimulating in nature. Caffeine's alkaloids are stimulating in nature, but caffeine is also highly astringent, extremely astringent, and it's very hot also in nature. That is the reason, while it is constricting the blood cells, it is constricting your other cells also in the body, not just the blood, muscle cells, fat cells and all, but it's creating heat. As a result, the person will become thinner and thinner. So it's fine for real kapha people, but not for everybody, not for those people who already have a very well stimulated mind. It's only meant for sluggish people. So you can apply these things in the principle of opposites also. Warm weather conditions, you are supposed to have cold foods. Cold weather conditions, you're supposed to have warm foods. Rajasic conditions, you're supposed to have tamasic foods. Tamasic conditions, you're supposed to have rajasic foods. Onion, if you have taken lots of tea and coffee and if it's creating problems to you, then you need to destimulate your system with the help of bitter and cold things. For example, coriander is a good thing. So that's how the principle of opposite works. And the day we understand all the rasas, how they work inside our body, and the principle of opposites, we can cure also all the diseases. Principle of opposite works on our chakras also. They will, in one of the episodes, I'll talk about my case history as well, where I'll explain you as to how I cured myself from the serious ill effects that I faced during my early years when I had started taking allopathy without applying my wisdom, because in the past nobody used to understand how allopathy works. So that much for this episode. Thank you so much. Have a good time. God bless.